You now are listening to the audio podcast of Prisoners of Hope, the antidote to what ails your heart. I'm your host, Dr. Debbora Whitson. So come on in, pull up a chair, and open up your mind as you get ready to receive the download that hope will bring. Today, I'm interviewing a good friend of mine. Her name is Genie Goodwin, and she wrote a book entitled How to Win Her and Influence Him. Being female, I'm interested in how to influence him part, but her book addresses both parts. Enjoy. Hi, everybody. It is another journey on the Prisoners of Hope train, and I am your friendly conductor, Dr. D. And today I have a considerable opportunity to interview an author, a person I really respect. That's helped me personally in my personal relationship. I call her the Relationship Genie. and, and it's not instantaneous. That's actually, not correct advertising because it takes work. It's not poof, but once you understand, the poof begins to develop. Her name is Genie Goodwin. Genie, say hi.
Well, hello. I'm so happy to be here. I'm honored that you asked me to do this today.
And Jeannie wrote a book called How to Win Her and Influence Him, how to win her, how talking to the men and how you can influence him talking to the females. And me being a female, I was just interested in the second part of the book at first, but then I read the whole book and it made me really understand. And Jeannie, I want to ask you, how did you develop into the relationship genie? Could you express your journey becoming that and discovering that?
Oh, absolutely. I became my relationship genie, honestly, because people started calling me that. But the reason why I developed the expertise is because I needed it desperately. I actually got married um, 2 weeks after I turned 18.
Wow.
And so I was so young and so desperately in love with the man of my dreams. And within 2 years, our marriage was a disaster area. It was so hard. And every conversation ended up in this screaming, crying, fit throwing. And that was just me. And then there was him, right? And I was trying to figure out, I still love this man, but honestly, nothing is working. How do you save a relationship where you put everything into it and nothing is working and you both still love each other? And that was what made me dive into how. How do you do this? How do you walk in love through some of the hardest things relationships bring into your life? Because I always say relationships, every problem in life is a relationship problem. It's either an internal problem, I'm angry, I'm stuck, I'm frustrated, why is he such a pain in my rear? Or it's an external problem, right? Why can't he back me? Why can't we get along? Or it's an eternal problem. Lord, what in the world is the purpose of my life? Or it's that intimate problem. I love my husband with all of my heart, but I just wanna kill him. Like, what do you do with all of that? And so I ended up diving deep in to solve my own relationship problems. And what I discovered in my journey was all problems in relationships have the same root problem. And so if I can solve the root of what the problem is instead of blaming the other person for all the problems, I can actually make a real difference all by myself. I don't need to drag him to counseling. I don't need to get, even I'm a coach. I'm a I'm a certified high performance coach with an expertise in relationships, but I don't need a coach. What I need is to understand what the other person receives as love and deliver it with the skill set to not judge them, to not make them wrong, to not make them change. And all of that, honestly, is the definition of love.
Mhm, mhm.
It's understanding and walking in love with the other person instead of making them wrong.
You said something that's very interesting. Since I'm from the division of the control freak, the kingdom of the control freak, where you have no control. But anyway, you said something. You said it only takes one person, which I that is so revealing. That is so uplifting because I can do it myself. I can implement changes myself that will help my relationship. That's what's exciting, guys. She's gonna explain that.
Oh, 100%. I absolutely believe that. And in fact, when clients come to me, it's usually one person. It's not the couple. It's usually one person who says, hey, they're cheating on me, or hey, they've already filed for divorce, or hey, they moved out. What can I do? They don't want to work on it. And again, going back to my own experience, he didn't want to work on it with me. He didn't want to go to counseling. Counseling was a disaster for us because I had to drag him, and of course, he had a stinky attitude when we got there, and then nothing anybody could say or do was right. It just is awful. But if I can understand that the one thing in life nobody on the planet can live without is love, and learn how to deliver it in the way the other person will receive it, what happens is they get what they're looking for and they change without me changing them. And so I actually have all the power if I'll walk in love, all of it. But
Awesome.
the challenge is the skill set to wield this force of love is something that most people actually don't have. They think love is a feeling, but love is a force. It is not a
Mhm,
feeling. But
mhm.
if you don't have the skill sets of wielding love in all the zillions of ways, right, of circumstances we end up in this life, then you'll think, I don't love them. Love died. They don't
Mhm.
love me. You'll just think that love is the problem when the real problem is you lack a skill set for what you're going through in the moment.
Wow, the skill set. Let's get into that. You talk about I would call it, since I'm in marketing, the hot buttons in the world of masculinity and the hot buttons in the world of femininity and how each of them communicate with a different objective in mind. So could we start with men? How do men speak?
Oh, I love this question. Thank you for this question. I love this because the key, especially when it comes to male female dynamics, is that we're not the same. But when men communicate with women, they think we are the same. So they think we should be logical. They think we should ignore our emotions and just get the job done. They think that when we open our mouths, they're looking for a fix, and the quickest fix gets the most points. And so when a man is communicating, he's communicating from this concept of how can I fix this? How can I fix this as fast as possible? And how can I get the most points possible using the least amount of energy? And how can logic get me there fastest? So all of your communication with men is based off of that. And he thinks you're one of them with curves. He thinks you're a curvy man. So he
Curvy
thinks
man.
you should think and talk logically. And what he'll say is, well, what is the point? Right? Because there isn't one point. When a
It's a
woman
spaghetti.
talks, there is not one point. No,
It's a spaghetti, right? It's
you
a
got it,
spaghetti
girl.
of points.
Because that's not how a woman talks. A
That's
woman
not
isn't talking for a point. A woman is talking for a connection.
mhm.
And so a woman will use as many different avenues to create connection as she can possibly think of as fast as possible. So she'll
Right.
throw that spaghetti at him, go,
Right.
"Oh, it's about this and it's about that, and one day I did that, and I remember when somebody else talked about that, and then somebody else did that, and I
And
was thinking
and
the
it
other
was
day."
raining slightly, and there was a dog across the street, and I looked up and I thought we just had
That's
everything.
right.
And
Yeah.
he's going, "Oh my god, could you just get to the point?"
And
You
it
know.
made me feel like this.
Right,
And the most wonderful thing about the way women communicate is we communicate with feelings, not logic,
right,
because
right.
feelings create connection,
Action. Mhm, mhm.
and connection creates relationships. Again, that's not how men communicate. Doesn't mean they don't love you, doesn't mean they don't respect you, doesn't mean any of that. It means we're actually speaking two completely different languages for the purpose of achieving two completely different goals. And when I learned that, the fighting in my marriage disappeared and he didn't have to know or do anything. I just began to understand, oh, Jeannie, this question, he wants that answer. Just
Mhm,
give it to him.
mhm.
Then I learned, okay, but I want to share my emotions. So I learned how to ask him in what I call Manglish, the language of men,
English.
for exactly what I needed in the moment
Right,
so that he could
right,
deliver it to me.
right, right. But, it's very interesting because women, we learn to communicate indirectly. So, for example, if the trash is overfilling in the corner and it is his job to take it out, we'll say, "Did you take out the trash?" But then yeah, and which he gets irritated with because he's looking at the trash logically, and he's thinking, "You can see it's not taken out." You see how that can
That's right.
cause an issue? But we are taught as females because 'cause we're looking for that connectivity. We're looking for him to say, "Oh, yeah, I was kinda tired and my neck was hurting, and I was going to take it out, but I thought, oh, maybe you're still cooking." You see what I mean? This is what we're
Totally.
we're just what looking ladies, if you wanna test this, because, Jeannie also talks about physiological differences between a man and a woman. And Jeannie, make me come back to this point because I'm gonna forget, but I want you to talk about the physiological differences in the brain between a man and a woman.
Okay. Do you want me to go there now?
Yeah, yeah, because I want you to talk about the
Fantastic.
physiological differences, and I will say, "Hey, ladies, check this out," and everybody be shaking their head like, "Yes, this happened to me." But I want you to
Fabulous.
give them the background first, so go ahead.
So in the arena of communication, a man's brain is wired for something called single focus. And the reason why is because all of the connections for focus are singly wired, whereas a woman's brain has multiple connections in her brain for focus, meaning a woman's brain is wired for diffuse focus.
Mhm.
Said another way, that means a woman cannot concentrate on only one thing at a time and ignore all the other pieces. She has to add all the pieces in
That's right.
because her brain is wired that
That's right.
way. So
That's
when
right.
she's giving a hint, what you just said was, I'm going to hint about the garbage
That's
and
right.
I'm going to give all the details around the garbage, but I'm not gonna actually directly ask you because that would be rude in a woman's mind. Whereas in a man's mind, with this
Yes.
single focus wiring in his brain, he's like, I have no idea. You lost me when you added how your feet felt and how the kitchen smelled and cooking something. I have no idea what you're talking about because there's no single focus
That's right. Right.
causing all kinds of frustration in both sexes. Again, I'm going to go back to because we think we're the same. He thinks you are purposefully being without a point. He thinks you're doing that on purpose in order to annoy him, in order to disrespect him, and in order to make him angry on purpose. He thinks you're doing it all on purpose because he thinks you have a single focused brain. Why? Where's the point? Why can't you have a point? Why are you wasting my time?
Mhm, mhm.
And then we flip over to on the woman's side and we think he's being cold.
Rude.
We think he's being selfish. We think he's being lazy. We think he's specifically trying not to understand in order to prove he doesn't actually love us. And none of that is happening. What's the only thing that's happening is you've got a single focused brain trying to work with a diffuse focused brain and blaming each other for not being the same.
Well, I hope you learned something and all that. I know I did. Stay tuned for the second part of how to win her and influence him. My hope is that this journey has been fruitful and you're able to take it and apply it to your life. Until next time, tune in again for the Prisoners of Hope podcast. God bless.